Hello everybody, welcome back to... God, I hope this is the last one. Maybe? This is the third or fourth time he's saying it, but maybe this will be the last part? I should probably stop saying it. I should probably stop saying it at that point. Oh, the last part. Since it's gonna be broken up, the last part we went through another Springs Paradise. Saw a little bit of Ring going into Calvard looking for his long lost master. That was interesting. Then we joined up with Ren, who joined up with the school, the Aramis Academy in Calvard. Dealt with a bully, became student council president. Interesting stuff. Now we're up to this. I'm assuming there's two more. Well. Let me say it again. There's one more after this, considering we were still like 4 daydreams short. So I'm assuming these are the 4 daydreams that I was missing. So yeah, there should be at least one more. So let's do it. Fuck me, dude. This game just never wants to end. All right. I cannot accept that. I was not one to mince words. The hulking bear of a veteran bracer, Zin Vadik, could not hide his disappointment, puffing out his bottom lip with a sigh as he stood before him. Well, stood before me. It's Zin, my man! We haven't seen her hide or hair of you since fucking Sky. Not again. You gotta resign yourself to the inevitable one of these days. I had been indebted to this man who was as capable as he was kind since my first days in the guild. Truly, I didn't wish to be the source of vexation for him, but the wish alone was not enough. I have neither the experience nor the skill worthy of an A rank, so I cannot accept your recommendation. Racers are assigned ranks based on their strength and achievements, with A rank being the highest on the paper at least. As members of the very face of its beloved organization, and as such, ranks are a metaphorical badge of honor to be worn with pride. So how I had received multiple recommendations for the most prestigious rank in 6 months? I spared no effort in working to hone my craft in the 3 years I joined after school, and certainly I wouldn't classify myself as a doe-eyed newcomer, but to have my name among the greatest of the guild? Absolutely not! But after turning down my first recommendation, a second one came from the guild's headquarters in Le Mans. If you ask me, you got both in spades. There is something else that make you lead toward a no. Zin's awkward smile told me he had been pressured by headquarters to persuade me. I folded my arms. Setting aside whether you're overestimating me or not, which I believe you are, there is. I would very much like not to stand out any more than I already do. I've been getting offers to be a model, to star in films. It's been, frankly, exhausting and forcing me to give up. Now, what do you think what would happen if I were to accept a promotion? I'll be neck deep in the mess all over again. Okay, that makes sense, but sorry, you're a 1-2 punch in the beauty and bronze department. Trying to lay low is a lost cause. What the kind of fans you're getting, maybe you should consider the silver screen after all. Who knows? You might walk away with an award from the film festival. Zin's laugh was hardly in contrast to my unamused frown. Much as I respected him, he could do with showing a little more decorum. That's not funny. I understand being in the public eye to some extent is inevitable, and I've accepted it, but I'm a bracer, not an entertainer. I wasn't trying to be funny, though. You gotta find a way to let off some steam, or you're gonna break when you need it to be put together the most. Happens to the workaholics like you more often than you think. I didn't think I was pushing myself as much as he would imply, but I also couldn't deny that there was a nugget of truth in what he said. We were getting off topic. Just why is headquarters so desperate for me to become an A-rank bracer? I can't see the logic behind it. Well, you see, starting with what you know, the reparations from Maraboni have beefed up our economy this year, so all kinds of new investments are pouring in from across the continent. Now, I'm no economist, but people can go where the money's at, and where people go, conflict follows. That's just how it is. I saw where it was going from there, looking to expand upon the rest myself. So now we have disputes between mega corporations and a stark increase in Jaeger activity. These are in addition to known growth of private military academies and increased tensions between mafias. You got it. You think it's bad now? It's only gonna get worse from here. That's why Le Mans wants to up security here while promoting our rising star, you. They see it as a good PR for the guild and a deterrent to any potential threats that are thinking about stepping out of line. Perhaps I was more vaguely aware of their goal in using me than I wanted to admit. This didn't make hearing the answer any more satisfying. If they have you asking me to play my part, then sure they have asked you to play your part already. You've been recommended for S rank, haven't you? If you know of a better deterrent than having an S rank in Calvard, then I'd like to hear it. Zin scritched at the back of his head awkwardly upon my statement. I just would think I'm up there with someone like Cassius Bright. S isn't an official rank, and even if it was, just look at me. You think a guy like me is a picture-perfect advertisement for the guild? I think you have the skills, achievements, and build to be one, yes. A curt response. Alright, point made. I can't force you to take the recommendation, but I'm not about to be a hypocrite. Just, let me know if you change your mind, okay? With that, the conversation came to an end, and the guild's bracers gathered to begin our routine meeting of delegating open requests. This is how I prefer things. It was better to stay like this. How do you know who you are? There was a point when I wanted to be something more. I can no longer remember when that was. Sometime during my childhood it happened, I'm sure. I just recall realizing how small the world truly was. So I prayed and longed to become someone I was not. It was around high school when I thought I became that strong. Those years were unforgettable. I'll never forget the unexpected reunion I'll never forget the unexpected reunion that was had there. That makes no sense to me, but maybe that's just me. Nor the priceless treasure I had gained. I thought I had surely gotten closer to who I wanted to be. But in the end, it was just wishful thinking. My hand, once held, was now empty, and I was still a nobody. But I refused to stand still. I grew unrelenting in following the new path I chose for myself, ignoring my family's objections. My motivations had changed, however. I no longer possessed the girlhood or desire of becoming something more. Of becoming someone. I just needed to keep moving, however aimless that movement was. How do you know who you are? Well, aren't we looking gorgeous today? With a whimsical wink, a familiar bartender welcomed me into his establishment. It was a tall, affable man who lived by his own rules and never hesitated to lend a helping hand to others. He reminded me of much of the Crossbow City branch's receptionist from the few times I visited for work. The place was nearly empty today. I sat down in the corner seat farthest from the door as he approached. The usual, sweetheart? I stopped by here after a hard day's work on occasion. Whenever I did, I always ordered a coffee and a light snack. This was not a coffee and snacks kind of day. I wanted something with alcohol. Even beer will do. Not at all fazed by the vagueness of my order, he walked away and started preparing my drink. It wasn't long before he returned to place an elegant glass in front of me. I think this is a little more you than a beer. It was a beautiful cocktail composed of two colors, a clear blue like that of a priceless sapphire, and a calming jade. No doubt he could tell how disquieted my heart was and was trying to soothe it in his own way. I thanked him inwardly before daring to broach about my other reason for coming. Have you learned anything more about what I asked? Apart from being a skilled bartender, he was also a well-known informant. He was extremely well-connected to the guild, the press, and even the criminal underground, but he was very careful never to overstep his bounds with that last one. Indeed, I found him to be the most valuable source when needed. I wish I could say yes, but not even Dingo has any promising leads. Still, I think you've got your eyes in the right direction. It's only a matter of time before they get smoked out. I see. Since the guild's investigation showed nothing, I was hoping he would better point me in the right direction, but it seemed that this was going to be a lot harder than I had hoped for. Things will work out. Just pace yourself and keep it at it a little bit at a time. This ought to also applies to that cocktail. It's a strong one, so don't drink it all at once. I tilted the glass delicately between my fingers as he stepped away, my mind continuing to wade through the cases I was following. There had been a stark increase in illegal drugs in the market. Not just any drugs either, but ones with highly addictive, dangerous variety. Hey you, who effectively ruled over the criminal underworld in Calvard, ordinarily limited their proliferation in the market as part of their rules. Limiting the number of drugs was, of course, far from the ideal elimination of it, but none could deny that the syndicate's actions had brought some semblance of order to where chaos often reigned supreme. Yet the past few years had seen a worrying number of criminal groups rebelling against these carefully curated rules. One of these groups was surely behind the change in the market. And all this held a presumed connection on two missing people. The guild and the police had been tasked with searching for two children below the age of 10, a boy and his young sister. They simply left the house one day and had not been seen since. Evidence suggested they came from a perfectly ordinary family on good terms with one another, so the likelihood of them running away was slim. We mulled over the suspicion that they had been abducted for ransom early on, but not a single demand was made following their disappearance, so it was quickly ruled out. Despite a healthy amount of manpower that was coming from both sides, neither the guild nor the police had yet to find them. That said, the search was so far had not proved entirely fruitless. The last known location was fortunately established, and it was, unfortunately, a popular site for illicit drug trade. The working theory from there became that the siblings witnessed a transaction and were held captive by the criminal parties involved as a result. If that held true, then the longer it took our parties to find them, the greater the danger their lives were in. The abductors wouldn't do anything right away. Murder was sure to leave trace evidence behind, but it was only a matter of time before they resort to that or trafficking abroad to get rid of them. With each passing second, the odds of the children being returned unharmed were dropping to zero. At the same time, all this was pure speculation on our part based on a single established location. For all we knew, this had nothing to do with the criminal underworld at all. The potential dangers thrown around made inaction an agonizing task, but if there was no evidence to go on, action was impossible. We could force to be arresting any suspicious people on site and then make them talk should we wish it. That would be a direct violation of the guild's code and its founding principles. The Bracer Guild was always thought to be an ally of the people first and foremost, so resorting to criminal acts to obtain evidence was out of the question. Only the strict adherence to our code didn't stop us from being able to resolve so many crimes, thereby putting the people we swore to protect in danger. It was the ultimate impasse. As I found myself pondering on this impossible dilemma the Bracers had placed themselves in, a familiar face came to mind. It was a childhood friend with blue-tinged, unkempt hair. Though he had lost contact with one another some years before, he one day returned to the city as suddenly as he had left it. Soon after starting up a peculiar profession that skirted the line of legality to a dangerous degree. The kind of profession that could easily involve himself in the affairs of many unscrupulous individuals, or so I believed. Just what did an idiot think he was doing? He walked out of my life without warning and walked back in much the same. I spent so much time searching for him. I knew our reunion would be an awkward one based on how we parted, but for him to return after all that waiting, all that searching, and dive into some unquestionable enterprise so different from my own was almost too much to bear. It gave rise to many concerns as a bracer, and many more concerns as a friend. And the one that bothered me most was why he hadn't come to see me. Did he have any idea how worried I was about him? How I am worried about him? Irritation building, I took a large gulp of my cocktail, but the alcohol only fanned the flames of anger burning in my heart. It burned brighter and brighter still, becoming a dazzling white that projected countless transient images of the past. Then, just as quickly as it flared up, my anger faded in an instant, replacing itself with a very different emotion altogether. Why did you leave me? Words slipped from my mouth before realizing it, making me feel downright pitiful once they were said. If someone were to see me in this state. Still haven't moved on, I see. A familiar but unexpected voice called out to me, causing me to jump slightly from surprise. I quickly regained my composure. I just had a few choice words I'd like to say. My response feigned calmness as best I could. I couldn't help but think I had a little more than a few choice words, really, but following up with that would aid my annoyance in a way I would rather not further. Oh, I imagine you have more than a few. Right. Of course you'd see right through me. The speckled man that sat down next to me as though our running into each other was no coincidence. He was another childhood friend of both myself and the one I was lamenting over, someone who followed a remarkably different career path from either one of us. If it's still bothering you that much, why not just go and see him? You already have his address by now, surely. How could I with how much time that's passed? As I mumbled my response meekly, I thought I could hear the man next to me chuckle. Well, then I suppose there's no need to rush things. With your lines of work, I'm sure your paths will cross naturally with enough due time. I didn't expect that kind of response. You make it sound so romantic. Unless you have forgotten, I don't struggle with expressing what's in my heart the way he does. Now, since we're here, how about a toast? I'll make your next one non-alcoholic. Unless you have forgotten, I can handle my liquor just fine, thank you very much. We then spent the rest of our time reminiscing about the past. It had been too long since we were able to just sit and talk like this. It wasn't that he and I had become estranged, but both of our jobs made a trying task to meet even at the best of times. By the way, I've heard about word you turned down becoming an A-ring bracer again. Of course that wouldn't escape the CID's eyes. The information itself was unconfidential, but that he already knew about something, however unofficial it was entirely typical of him. The Bracer Guild focused on protecting civilians, while the CID focused solely on the needs of the president in office. The groups were neither enemies nor allies. They simply had very different goals, where work was concerned. I know it wasn't my place to tell you to accept the offer, however. He paused before resuming, his tone becoming markedly more serious. The times we live in demand a new hero. That much is clear. I had no idea what a realist like him was trying to say by implying that I was a hero. But before I can inquire further, he changed the subject that was likely brought him here to find me in the first place. Now, if you don't mind, I have something that will be of interest to you regarding those missing children. My eyes widened from the unexpected change, he continued. You identified the group that made the district their turf, as well as have compelling evidence of a crime taking place. You may proceed as you like in cooperation with the police. I couldn't believe it. On a silver platter, he had given me just cause to act, and since the information came from the CID, there was no reason to doubt its veracity. I felt it. I was on the verge of rekindling my girlhood desires. Ooh. All I had done until now was follow life where it was taking me. And yet, here I found myself before a new path that could lead to someone I once wanted to be. This deviation terrified me. What if it led me to losing someone again? What if it ended in more pain? My fear begged me to stay idle. I was a fragile human being at my core. I knew it well. It made me wish I was anything but. It inspired me to take up the sword and rebel against any whispers of weakness, and I played the part admirably on the surface. But if I were forced to face cruel reality in the future, I wondered, would my heart be able to take it? I didn't know who you are. It would be helpful if I knew who you were. As I sidestepped to the left, I shifted my center of gravity and released a flurry of slashes against my first foe, using that momentum to thrust upon both myself and my blade toward my second. Two low-ranking mobsters fell to the ground. They were not members of a mafia I had been chasing, and right now I was in the thick of their den of operations. My friend gave the guild and police the excuse we needed to take more direct stance against their targets. His information was vague, however, so we still had to discern their precise location on our own. Zen and several of the Bracers agreed it would be best to split our forces and attack several locations in unison for this part of our mission. Based on what just transpired, it appeared my location was the lucky winner. There's the intruder! I have seen her before. She's from the paper. Two reinforcements arrived, but I was hardly going to give them time to act. I raced forward, swinging my sword twice as I passed them, and they fell before they could even raise their weapons. I advanced. Mobsters arrived in droves, as presumably word of my arrival had already been spread. There she is! She's that bracer word's been going around about. Oh damn it! What the immovables here too? Don't be chicken shit. If it's one woman, we can take care of her. They then charged me in mass, at least 10 of them, with more reinforcements on the way from farther inside the building. Forcing my way through with how many they had and another number was risky. I knew the sensible thing to do was to wait for the bracer to show, but I also had to consider, what if my waiting afforded the market the time to wield the children as hostages? Weighing the two options, I concluded that whatever reduced the chances of it happening was worth the cost. I needed to push on and settle this now! Oh boy. Besides, I believed I had nothing to fear from this pitiful group as they were. Were they combat veterans? They could have used their numerical advantage to implement complex formations to counter and corner me, but they did no such thing. The amateurs. And they dared to believe they had held account to Heiwi's martial arts? In the face of one of my experience, their bloated size was more of a hindrance than a help. They wouldn't be able to utilize even half of their potential against me. I first had to position myself and them appropriately. If I could ensure the gun toting wielders among them were in each other's line of fire while rounding up the close-range fires for a single shot, they would soon have bigger worries. Friendly fire. Their vulnerabilities would then spell my victory as I cut them down. 1 down, 2 down. The precious seconds, just as a man had fought. I skipped that. The precious seconds after defeating a foe were the most advantageous. Just as the man had fallen, I was on to another before they had time to adjust to my incoming blade. There was no pattern to who was next. By design, I chose my targets by stunning Erastus and throwing them into complete disarray as more collapsed to the ground. 3 down, 4. I'll go around them in a wide circle. I'll move between them while remaining ever aware of any surprise assaults at my back. I waited through them until I encountered the ones farthest back. The ones who never even considered I would be able to reach them. They were spread so carelessly. The men took up their guns with newly alert panic streaming across their faces, but their fate was already sealed. They were powerless as they closed the gap between us. 5, 6, 7. With over half the number down, the remaining mobsters were quickly losing their will to counter. Some attacked out of adrenaline-induced desperation, calculating their next moves so poorly they fell into their long-set trap and accidentally attacked themselves. At this point, the battle was as good as final. All I had to do was continue to take them down until I was the last one standing. There were smaller groups I encountered on my way through the building, but I was able to disable them with a little effort. The path they opened up for me would eventually lead me to their leader. He was a middle-aged fellow, pacing restlessly around an unpleasantly gaudy room until I entered. He twitched in fear at the very sight of me. Why are you here? Where are my men? Oh boy. Kissing the floors. I answered so calmly and concise that he balked in disbelief. That's impossible. I sweat my balls off to build this group from the ground up. And you're saying a girl like you tore it all down just like that? I could ignore his crude language and drew closer. As I thrust my sword till it sat just between his eyes, he let out a squeal. Well, I'm no ordinary girl. I'm a bracer. But don't worry, I didn't kill them. They only have been knocked out or restrained. You'll be seeing them again soon, in prison. I shot a darkened glare in his direction as the tip of my sword wandered downward to his neck. Now, I have some questions for you, and you will answer them. The man nodded empathetically, his whole body trembling with fear. 2 children, a boy and a girl under 10 years old, disappeared last month. Your people abducted them, didn't they? He nodded. I knew it! Then where are they? What did you do to them? Then the room farther inside, they're alive! At I could breathe a sigh of relief. My most fundamental objective when coming here could be fulfilled. Next, I needed to ask him more about his group. I thought you all seemed far too weak to be charged in this district of the city, but after coming across your account book, everything fell into place. You're working on behalf of someone else, aren't you? He was so unsure how to respond that he fell completely silent, but that alone gave me my answer. Who is it then? Tell me, is it A? I can't. He flinched in fear as I pressed him, resisting as though he genuinely couldn't say. And just as he opened his trembling lips to speak, I heard a strange thudding sound come from outside the room. I stepped away from the man, my sword still firmly in hand. Crunching, squelching, squelching, splattering. More sounds, these more audible than the first. I didn't know what to make of them, but they made me feel an instinctive revulsion as they dragged on. They may have come accompanied by faint groans, but if they did, they faded just as soon as the sounds themselves. I remained on guard as I stepped out into the hallway, ready to be attacked from any angle at any moment. And a sight that greeted me defied all imagination. The monsters I fought through mere minutes before were now nothing more than distorted, mutilated piles of flesh and bone. Not just 1 or 2, every single one of them, without exception, had been reduced to bloody mounds. Some were without heads, others had their organs ripped out from their abdomens. There were those from their skulls caved in, leaking pulverized brain matter, or ones that had their hearts pulled and squeezed. Jesus Christ, what is this? Each corpse was different. Each corpse was unbearable to look at. The plain hallway I traversed with all due speed was now covered in sticky, slimy red. Who could have done something like this? The sight was so awful that my free hand, now clenched, shook from disgust. When was it ever necessary to go this far? What could anyone gain from this? Wait, no! I realized I just made a careless mistake. I turned and hurried back into the room I was just in. I was too late. The Mafia's leader was floating in the air at the center of the room as though some unknown force was holding him by his chest. A monstrous sword ripped through his pierced through his chest. A single streak of blood dripped from his unspeaking mouth. There was no room to believe he was anything but dead. Like all the others in the hallway, he didn't even have time to scream before his life was taken. Who are you? I barked at the center of the room, trying to drown out my instinctive fear of the anger. At a glance, only the corpse and I were present. If I strained my eyes, I could see the faint contours of another store in the space around them. It must have been some form of active camouflage. I would have thought it would be basic courtesy to give your name before asking another charming ace of the Bracer Guild. It was a man's voice that projected true arrogance, as though he were above all others as a matter of course. I instinctively readied myself for battle in response, but my actions seemed to not faze him in the slightest. No need to be spoiling for a fight. I'm simply here to take out the trash after they were careless and to leave a trail for the CID to follow. Was I really talking to a fellow human being? How can you speak of such gruesome murders in those terms? Are you a business partner of theirs? No. You must be from the group above them. Very good. Then swung his blade to slide and toss the corpse off the side with all the respect of a used cigarette. How could you treat people you work with like this? People? Have you your ears? I said nothing about taking out a person, only trash. Same applies to the garbage piling up in the hallway. They have always been so, even before they stopped breathing. It was clear that communicating with someone of his nature was impossible. I dismissed calm reason for an intense, all-consuming anger so great that my entire body couldn't stop trembling. You monster! Before I knew I had sprung into action, pouting every drop of my strength in my blade to launch a swift and unavoidable strike. But he repelled it with one vertical swing of his own. This one exchange was enough to tell me that his strength was a league above mine. He parried my blow at the most perfect instant, canceling out the force of my attack with so little effort that it barely scratched the surface of what he was capable of. The act of camouflage did nothing to hide the monstrous nature of his cruciform sword either. Its design combined silver and black in an unholy fusion of darkness and light, as if chaos itself dwelled within its very blade. It wasn't a common weapon. Even if I continued to give it my all, my odds of winning against him were extremely slim. But at the same time, my instinct screamed at me that I could not allow him to leave. I charged again. If attacking him from the front was going to work, then I have to go for the side. He blocked that attack with just a little effort. But I wasn't done yet. I refused to stop moving, slashing a third time with even more speed than the first two. I showered him with a flurry of them, each one faster than the last. When I finally reached my physical limit, I darted in a new direction, attacking him from behind. I put my very soul into one overwhelming attack aimed directly at his rear, which I could only just make out through the camouflage's distortion. I got him! However, the second I became sure of victory was in my grasp, this cruciform sword blade carved a great arc through the air in a ferocious spinning slash. I was able to instantly defend myself against the blow, but the force of it sent me flying backward. I was fortunate enough to not have sustained a direct hit, but my body shook from now being able to fully cancel out its massive weight. Still, I forced myself back to my feet and glared at his form. The difference between us was night and day. It felt as though he could manipulate the very flow of battle, which, much like a master of martial arts who understood the true nature of all things. He paid no mind to my pitiful attempt at bravado and gave a short laugh before speaking. Impressive. You put up more of a fight than the rumors has led me to believe. What's your goal? What are you trying to do with all your strength? I expected him to reject or ignore me, so I was taken aback when he paused for a sincere moment of thought before answering. An interesting question. I suppose to instill fear. Fear? I almost doubted my ears. Fear is at the heart of what y'all know. Domination, servitude, order and harmony, production, all of it exists because of fear. That is why I seek to instill fear in its purest form, much like the retributive tower that appeared in the Crossfell half a year ago. Such a pity that it fell. There was such a pleasure in his words that it made it easy to imagine the expression on his veiled face. As insane as what he was saying would sounded to me, I knew he meant every word of it. You really are a monster. Continue your fruitless attempts to stop me and you'll understand what I mean in due time. He lowered his blade. As a parting gift for assisting me in my house, cleaning efforts, I'll let you and those children go. Keep that far too pristine blade sharp for our next meeting, Bracer. With that, he turned to leave. Wait! Just as I extended my hand, the ground below emitted a bright glow. and by the time that glow had faded, he was gone. He had likely used the same teleportation spell that certain other criminal organizations were known to rely on. His departure also released all the strength I had left in me, not from relief, but from the exact opposite. I was so overwhelmed with frustration that I let him leave, so afraid of what he might go on to do because I couldn't stop him, that I lost the strength to even stand. Of course, this is just who I've always been. I haven't changed one bit since the day you left me. I'm still the same powerless girl I was back then. My work here wasn't finished yet. I walked to the next room. I opened the door and was greeted by what appeared to be an old storage space. There, across the hall, I found who I was searching for. The brother and sister pair were crouched against the wall, the boy trembling on the floor as the sister stood close by. It's okay, I'm here to help you. I kept my tone as gentle and as reassuring as I was able. The girl smiled while her older brother continued to hide his face. I slowly walked toward them, careful not to make any sudden movements, but as I did, the boy shook his head vigorously. His whole body trembled more the closer I got, as though he were telling me to stay away. The answer from that man flashed in my mind. Fear is at the heart of all we know. These children were very much in fear's clutches. No matter how grouchy I was in closing the distance between myself and the boy, trying my best not to provoke him, his body language showed he continued to reject me. We were now within arm's length of one another. His shaking grew more violent, and though he opened his mouth to speak, his voice refused to come out. It's all right. I smiled a most comforting smile. After that, I reached up behind me and grasped the blade of the knife that was being thrust toward me. I turned swiftly, my fingers never letting go, and I found the one gripping the hilt to be none other than the sister. She had tiptoed around my back while I was kneeling to meet her brother and tried to stab me from behind. She was a bit startled by my halting her attack, but otherwise she stared blankly, emotion on her face nowhere to be seen. I suppose he was right about fear. It controls everything we do. You must have been through something terrifying if you had to resort to this. No doubt they were now conditioned by fear to attack anyone who came to the rescue. I paid no mind to the blood from my bare hands slowly dripping to the floor. The cut from the knife was nothing compared to everything else in the moment. My first priority was to reassure the girl that I meant no harm. But we humans are capable of more than giving into that fear. We can fight it. With courage, we can fight it. Your brother was doing just that now. He may have been gripped by fear, but he still fought his hardest through his actions to alert me of the danger his sister posed. And if it took all he had, he wanted to keep me safe and to keep her from committing an irreversible, regrettable act. It was thanks to him that I noticed that what she was trying to do. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm a bracer. I'll keep you safe. I took the girl into my arms. You're a bracer? Her voice was devoid of emotion. That's right, I'm here to help you. Oh, I think I've seen you in a magazine before. Something Blade, I think. That's right, the nickname is a little embarrassing, but I'd be happy if you remembered it. That way, as long as you hear it, you'll know I'm here to keep you out of harm's way. I tightened my grips around her as if to stop anything more from hurting her and surround her heart with my warmth. It really will be okay, I promise. I noticed her eyes twitched just slightly, and before long, her eyes filled with tears. Soon she began to sniffle, at first a small one here and there, until they gradually grew more pronounced, eventually turned into uncontrollable sobs. She had finally been liberated from her fear. I've absolutely no idea what's going on. As for me, I had stayed my course. I was too afraid to deviate from my current path. Still, I had chosen this path with pride in my heart. I didn't think it would be right to turn my back on it now, but I wasn't going to let it be an aimless journey from now on either. And so, it was another day in the 8th branch of Calvard's guild. Something like that Mafia was trying to copy what that organization of assassins managed to pull off. I was discussing the recent case with Zen. The siblings had indeed been abducted because they had witnessed an illegal transaction. The Mafia involved then thought to mimic a group of assassins known for raising children with the intent to turn them into professional killers. Oh shit. Their attempts thankfully proved as unsuccessful as their attempts to remain covert and selling drugs. The CID found them and whoever they were working for purged them. Hell of a way to go. But if I hadn't been so incompetent, maybe they wouldn't have been purged at all. Don't beat yourself up about it. The guild's priority is to keep civilians safe, not criminals. I don't want to say they deserted for getting involved in organized crime, but it is what it is. Try putting that frustration you're feeling into more personal growth instead of letting it eat you alive. I was told that while the siblings were going to need psychological counseling for some time, they were fully expected to recover and go back to their everyday lives. My meeting with them had triggered something inside of me. I came to realize that something needed to change. I had to take some step forward. Even if it ended in me falling to the floor in some dramatic fashion, I just needed to pick myself back up again. With that in mind, I accepted my multiple recommendations. The times we live in demand a new hero. Doing so made me think of what my childhood friends did to me. I didn't believe I had what it took to be a hero, but if I could be just a brief one able to give the people hope and banish the darkness ahead, then that was the reason enough for me to keep going. Maybe that could make me something enough to fight alongside the real hero once they came to light. Well, so we could go down to business. Sin turned to face me, his classic broad grin, even broader than usual. It'll be a while longer before the official paperwork arrives from headquarters, but I'm sure they won't mind me speeding up this part of the process of how much they wanted this. The Republic now has a bracer who ranks any rank as the same age as the Empire's Purple Lightning. Congrats on your promotion, Elaine Claire. Yudi's Blade. We finally have a name! What the fuck is... We have a name, but we don't have a face. We have the view from the back, but that's it. Where's the face? Where's the face reveal? Fuck. I mean, guess she's probably one of the. She's probably gonna be a protagonist in the next game, isn't she? Oh, that's it. That's it. We finally done. We finally fucking done. The sword. That's a sword maiden. We finally fucking done. Suspension of casualty recording and engine activity confirmed. Force connection to Astral Link severed. A whirlpool of casualty engulfing Erebos and the fated land has at last been unraveled. Though the bell ringing the end of days has yet to be silenced. You and children of Zemuria have earned your moment of peace until the time comes to face the final hour. Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. Well, they did say that there was a greater threat looming on the horizon. Until you, with hope and fear in your hearts, must walk new trails. I'm kind of curious what more greater threat there is than what they've already faced. Oh, we're finally fucking done. God, I don't think I'd ever finish. Fuck me. So there is kind of individual. I don't. I'm still missing 3 daydreams though. Do I have to go back and rewatch the daydreams to get that? Probably. Oh well. God, that went on forever. All right. There really isn't much else to do. It's all done. Jesus Lord. Alright. We're done here. I'm assuming if I go back to the mirror, that's how you start New Game Plus. I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but it's the one thing I didn't check in here. Black mirrors filled with strange power, blah blah blah. Save clear data. Might as well. Might as well update the one I have. Okay, that's gonna be it then. I was kind of expecting a credit sequence, but I guess that's it. Oh well. Ugh. So I guess that's gonna be it for this playthrough. Fuck. God. This playthrough went on for too damn long. I don't think this is ever gonna end. All right. I guess we're done. So, with that being said, I I'll probably just throw in the credits in the editing, just to kind of give it a proper closeout. That's what I'll probably do, and I'll probably do final closeouts doing that. So yeah, you're done. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed it, and YouTube, I'll see you in the credits in just a moment. Alright, YouTube, we are back. I know we've seen this before already, but I need a proper closeout for this playthrough. We are officially done. It took this took forever to finish. This game had probably one of the longest post games I've gone through in ages. I think the last game that had post game like this that was as long was Dragon Quest XI, with the whole post-game story that brought in an additional like 40 hours of content. So this is pretty much on the line, pretty much along the lines of that. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. You know, the story was interesting. The story kind of reminded me a little bit about Sky the Third, with the whole Phantasma area. That's what it kind of reminded me of a little bit, and I think a lot of people had the same thoughts. But the story was interesting. There were a couple parts later on when they started to properly introduce Elysium and the whole casualty, the laws of casualty, and all that kind of all that stuff. The time shifts, the time changes. It all kind of confused me later on, but it is what it is. But it was pretty good. I liked it. I still think I preferred Cold Steel 4 over this, but this game definitely had its good points. It had some bad points, like with the romance system that's always been a part of the Cold Steel games up until this point. I still wish that there was more to it in this game, aside from that boosted Link level we had at the beginning, and that one little scene from the Retributive Tower. I wish there was more. Like, I was kind of hoping for like a post-credit scene, like what we got in Cold Steel 4, with the photograph of, for me it was Altina. I kind of wish it was more than those two specific things, but unfortunately it's not. I was kind of hoping for like not even that. I would have been fine with just a few scenes that were directly related to it. I mean, I know there's a whole vacation mini game where you can kind of have indulge your fantasies with, but it just wasn't the same, you know. But you know, it is what it is. I liked it. I liked the setup they gave for the next game, with the whole thing with the Grandmaster and the Calvard's president, and then those novel memory stories of Ren, of Elaine. I still don't know who Elaine is. Blade's Beauty. I'm assuming Elaine is going to be a protagonist in the next game, in Kuro. Now, I'm told that Kuro is on Steam. There is an English patch for it, and I'm looking at it, and it's actually on sale for a very good price. Normally it's on sale with the digital deluxe edition. It comes with a whole bunch of shit, and normally it's priced at $147, but it's on sale for 67%. So instead of paying that much, it's $48. So that's actually a fantastic deal for that, and I'm very, very tempted to buy it. So I might not wait until this comes out to the West. I might just buy it straight from Steam and put an English patch on here and play it through Steam, which is what I'll probably do, because I definitely want to take advantage of that bundle, or not that bundle, of that bundle price. So, but as much as that's what I'll do, but it won't be an immediate playthrough. Because there's DLC coming out, and I guess I'll talk about what the DLC is. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet finally had their first DLC, the Teal Mask, released a couple days ago. So that's the DLC that I'm going to be covering next. It shouldn't be too long, probably maybe 3-4 videos, if that. So, then after that, you know, there's Honkai Star Rail that I want to get into, and then there's the other game that I mentioned that I don't want to bring up yet. So I have at least 2 games planned out to play through, and not only that, I still have to get back to playing through the Mario and Luigi games. You know, Bowser's Inside Story, and the other 2 or 3. So I still have to go back and go play through those. So there's also those to take into consideration as well. So at least for a good part of it, I have a backlist, or not backlist. What is it? Not the backlist. Whatever. I'm clogged with games to play. I've got so I'll be good for a while. Oh god, but I didn't think this game was ever gonna end. This game just continued to go on and on and on. I didn't think it was ever gonna. I still don't know where the last 3 daydreams are, unfortunately. I think there might be one of those things where you have to go back and actually play through the daydreams. Unless, because I didn't get any more ceiling stones. So, yeah. Look at them. The 3 best girls. I swear, Altina looks older in that picture. Oh boy. Trails into Reverie is now finished for the presents. Finally. We continue in the near future. Thank you for playing. We're done. So I'm looking this up for the last daydreams. Apparently you gotta complete all the mini games. You gotta play through all the mini games. You gotta finish Magical Lisa. You gotta do Barrel's quizzes and Project Turfig in order to get the last 3 daydreams. Which at this point I don't particularly care. I might do them for a bonus video just to knock them out, but at this point we're done. We're done. It's not my focus right now. So yeah. Thanks for coming to watch the playthrough. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Yeah, I'm definitely considering buying that Kuro bundle. So we'll see what happens. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you then in the next playthrough. Later.